This week's AP Top 25 has a new number one. That is the Alabama Crimson Tide. They jump and take the top spot after Clemson falls in a double overtime heartbreaker to now number 2, Notre Dame. Clemson checks in at 4. Ohio State, of course, they are now number 3. And the Aggies are ranked inside the top 5 thanks to their head-to-head win over Florida, who is number 6. And then some surprise teams here inside the top 10. How about Cincinnati, BYU, and Indiana, all undefeated and all a top 10 team in college football. Oregon is back and playing. They check in at number 11. Georgia drops substantially all the way out of the top 10. Wisconsin is still ranked for some reason at number 13. Oklahoma State is 14. How about Coastal Carolina, undefeated and inside the top 15 for the second straight week. Marshall is 16th, and then a pair of two-loss Big 12 programs, Iowa State and Oklahoma. SMU is 7-1, and USC held on to pick up a win and get inside the top 20 in their first week, having played in the AP Top 25 this week. All right, Texas is back. They're number 21. I'm kidding. Liberty took down Virginia Tech in crazy and thrilling fashion. They're still undefeated, as are Northwestern. Auburn is number 24, and then Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, they check in at 6-1, number 25. That's your top 25 in the AP poll. Let's take a look at the teams receiving votes here. North Carolina trying to get their way back in the top 25, but they got 85 votes, substantially behind Louisiana's 118. Army, Tulsa, Utah, and Washington. So a couple Pac-12 teams trying to get back in the top 25 since, they haven't been able to play this year. Arizona State blows my mind. There are a lot of teams here, and I'm going to go on a rant. How are these teams getting votes? Arizona State lost to USC. They've played one game this year, and they lost. Who's voting for them to be ranked? Purdue, Wake, Boise State got thrashed by BYU. Why are they getting votes? Who's voting for these teams? These are not good. Like Cal. Why is Cal getting a vote? Cal got 3 votes this week. Maryland got 3 because I guess Penn State's just bad at football. At least Michigan didn't get any votes this week because I'm sorry, Michigan fans. You guys weren't worthy of it. This is not a good year for Jim Harbaugh. Let's go more in depth now on the AP Top 25. Alabama, they take that number 1 spot, but it was really because of what happened elsewhere in college football. Number 1 Clemson playing without quarterback Trevor Lawrence on the road against Notre Dame in double overtime, a thrilling game, and they could not get it done. And it really wasn't the passing attack so much of Ian Book. How about the running game? Kyron Williams, 23 carries, 140 yards. We did the math for you guys. That's an average of 6.1 yards per carry. That is awesome. 3 total touchdowns. He was a huge reason why Notre Dame, who, by the way, this is not the same team we saw struggle against Louisville, took it to Clemson, upsets number 1 at home. Travis Etienne, by the way, for Clemson, had nothing going on the ground. It was a pretty disappointing showing from that perspective. Now, 3 different teams got votes this week in terms of to be number 1 overall. Who do you guys think it should be? I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in. Type Bama for Alabama, OSU for Ohio State, or type in ND for Notre Dame. All right, back to the top 5 now here. We mentioned Ohio State. They've been looking pretty good. Clemson, of course, drops as well. Texas A&M, look, their schedule is tough. They're not out of the way yet, but they have played fairly well. And that win over Florida is what got them in the top 5 as the Gators check in at number 6. But Florida had themselves a very impressive showing as they really blew out Georgia. Florida was number 8. This was a top 5 matchup in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I will not call it anything else. I refuse to call it the new name. Florida drops 44 on the Bulldogs. Stenson Bennett gets hurt and or got benched. DeJuan Mathis comes in and was not very good. I don't know what's wrong with JT Daniels, but he can't get on the football field. Kyle Trask throws for 474. Kyle Pitts cannot be stopped in the passing game. Florida, outside of the 1 lapse against A&M, they've been good this year. Some small programs that I do want to give some shout-outs here, too. How about Cincinnati and BYU? Hey, BYU's offense with Zach Wilson. More on him in the Heisman talk coming up here in a little bit. They're legit. Meanwhile, Cincinnati's offense, or the defense, is legit. That is a very dangerous unit led by head coach Luke Fickell and very hot rising DC Marcus Freeman. Now, the Miami Hurricanes, well, they struggled against Clemson, but De'Aaron King had himself a beautiful bounce-back game against NC State. 31 of 41, 430 yards, 5 touchdowns. His QBR was a shade under 92. And oh, by the way, one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in college football. Well, he kept it up. 15 carries, 105 on the ground. No touchdowns, but hey, you know what? When you beat NC State with those numbers, I think it's all good there. And then rounding out the top 10 is Indiana, because they're a top 10 team, and that's really weird as 2020 has been this year. First win over Michigan in a very long time for the Hoosiers, 30-plus years here. I don't know what's wrong with Michigan. This team just does not look very good. They got problems everywhere. They couldn't run the football after they ran it so well in week 1. Maybe Penn State was bad too, or Minnesota was just bad too. I don't know. Things are not looking good for Jim Harbaugh. That is a significant concern right now. So get your votes in. Is it time for Michigan to fire or move on or part ways or mutually agree to separate? Get your votes in here. Y for yes or N for no. Now, if you guys want more of college football videos, we need you to subscribe, because it's NBA offseason and the NBA is really popular, and they're making us do more of that. If you want more college football videos, hit that big red button and subscribe. Speak with your free, by the way, subscription. That way you can continue to keep us updated here, or we can keep you updated, on everything around college football. Let's go to the top 15, or I should say teams just inside the top 15. Oregon, they're back and playing football. They're number 11. We mentioned Georgia's bad loss. Wisconsin continues to slide because they've got all the COVID and they can't play football games at all. Oklahoma State held on against a pretty thrilling game against Kansas State. And Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers, they've looked great this year. I'm excited to see how they play the rest of the season. I've enjoyed the chaos that has been these smaller group of 5 teams having immense success. We do have face masks available for you guys. Don't be like Wisconsin. Head over to chatsports.com/CFBmasks. I will put that link in the comments, and I will put it in the description for you guys as well. You can get yourself a college football mask themed to your favorite CFB team. Michigan, Texas, Alabama, all of the major programs, they've got masks for you, and they're 20% off right now. It's a pretty good deal. So go check it out. It's at chatsports.com/CFBmasks. All right, just inside the top 20 now, Marshall continues to have success. Iowa State, they've done quite well so far this season. Maybe some ups and downs there. Much like Oklahoma, they haven't been perfect, but they've had a little bit more success as of late. SMU, and then USC held on barely against Arizona State, and now they're number 20 as the Pac-12 is finally getting back to playing some college football. Who is the most underrated team right now in college football? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I think you can go a couple different routes here. Maybe it is Liberty. We'll talk more about them. I was very impressed by their win over Virginia Tech. But get your votes in for me in the comments section. We mentioned Liberty. They're number 22. Texas held on against West Virginia. I don't think they're that good of a football team, but hey, whatever. Speaking of Liberty, though, how about Malik Willis, the transfer quarterback? He was awesome against Virginia Tech. Had over 300 combined yards, 4 total touchdowns. He has been very impressive this season. A big reason why Hugh Freeze has Liberty at 7-0. Auburn, by the way, speaking of Malik Willis, well, they're at number 24. And then another small school program, Louisiana, checks in at number 25. Now, there were a lot of teams that did not make the top 25 this week. We mentioned North Carolina, Army, just missed out. Who should be ranked that isn't right now? Let me know in the comments section what team you believe should be in the top 25 but is being disrespected by the AP pollsters. That's the AP Top 25. Now we're going to break down my Heisman Trophy rankings. I'm sticking with just 5 because it's been a weird year, and frankly, 6 to 10 is kind of a muddled mess. At number 5, I'm going to put in Kyle Trask. Now, on the one hand, I want to make this Kyle Pitts, but tight ends don't win the Heisman. I am sorry, I don't make the rules, guys. Kyle Trask, though, has put up great numbers this year. In 5 games, completing just under 69% of his passes. So close to being nice. over 1,800 yards, 22 total touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Now, he's not perfect. I think Kyle Pitts helps him out a little bit more than maybe other quarterbacks, benefit from. But I've been impressed with Trask this year. Number 4, and I don't really know where to put him, Trevor Lawrence. Do we think that Clemson beats Notre Dame if they have Lawrence out there? Because I kind of do. And does that actually help or hurt his Heisman campaign? Because he's played 6 games this year, 21 TDs, 2 interceptions. Numbers are just as good, actually a little bit better than Kyle Trask. But those 2 games that he missed, those could really hurt his Heisman chances with the way some players above him are playing this year. I know not everyone is as high in terms of the Heisman race as Zach Wilson as I am, but what he has done this year cannot be ignored. 8 games, 29 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That is insane. And he's completing 75% of his passes, 2,500 yards. He has been legit this year. Now, I don't know if he's going to actually win the Heisman or get an invite to New York, but we have to acknowledge just how good he's been this season. So who do you think will win the Heisman Trophy? I'm about to break down my top 2 candidates, which I think for the most part is getting to closer to a consensus in an unusual college football season. But let me know what you guys think. Who will win the Heisman Trophy in 2020? I've seen Mac Jones at number 1 on a variety of lists. I'm not there yet, but he has been great this year. Don't get it wrong. 6 games, 78.5% in terms of his completion percentage. Already has passed the 2,000-yard mark. 17 total touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I mean, he's been really good, guys. There has not been a fall off from Tua, but his name's not Tua, and I wonder if that will be held against him by the Heisman voters. At number 1, I'm going to go with Justin Fields. And I know he's only played a handful of games this year, but Justin Fields has as many passing touchdowns as he has total incompletions. That is insane. And I know it's only 3 games and level of competition, whatever. He's completing almost 87% of his passes this year. He's got 900 yards, 13 touchdowns, no interceptions, and there's been just a handful of bad passes all year. If he keeps this up for the rest of the abbreviated Big Ten season, I think he has to win the Heisman Trophy. So he's number 1 on my list. Feel free to give me grief if you want in the comments section.